What's up, all you good people, and welcome to Caffeine and Conversation. My name is Shar, and I serve as your host, your guide, as we navigate living life successfully after divorce. So if this is your first time here, thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to link my introductory video. It'll be on one of these sides. I want you to take a look. It'll give you the backstory and the context of what we're doing here at Caffeine and Conversation. If you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. I appreciate your support. So let's just kind of do some housekeeping, ground rules, and then we'll get right in today's session. So first of all, I've said it before, I'll try to remember to say it every time before we get started. I am not a licensed counselor, therapist, life coach, anything like that. I am a woman who at 40 years old and after 20 years of marriage was going through a divorce. And I will definitely say it has been, well, it's in the top 3 toughest things I've gone through in my life, but I made it. So I feel like my experiences, my journey, maybe can help someone else who's going through this. It is, again, my journey, my experiences, my opinions. So please remember that. But I hope that you can take away something that you can use, that you can apply in your journey. Also, this is a place of positivity, and we want to keep it that way. So if you're going to make comments, or if you want to respond to someone's comment or to respond to something that I've said, I just ask that you do it in a positive, respectful manner, because we're all adults here, and we all want to learn, we all want to grow. Isn't that part of what we want to do in life anyway? I would say yes. And I'm going to link a video to divorce care. I'm going to put it in the description box. You've heard me refer to it before, and it was definitely a great resource for me as I was moving through the process and the journey of divorce. So I'm going to put a video, like I said, in the description box that'll give you an idea of what divorce care is about. And if you can find a group in your area, I would definitely suggest that you partner up with them and use them as a resource, because that group, it was definitely one of the biggest parts of my healing journey, going through and then even after divorce. So I would highly suggest that for you. All right, so let's get into this week's session. And I have, if you look at the beginning of Caffeine Conversation, my little intro, it says divorce is not terminal and being single is not a sickness. So today we're going to talk about divorce not being terminal. And what do I mean by that? When you think of something terminal, you think of life ending. You think of the end. You think of death. And in many regards, you can feel like divorce is the end of your life. It definitely is the end of life as you've experienced it, but it is not the end of you. And in many cases, it can really be the beginning of you. So we're going to talk about today divorce not being terminal. I think what happens a lot of times when you're going through divorce or even after divorce, you can identify yourself as a divorced person. And divorced is not who you are. Divorce is something that you experienced. Divorce is something that you went through. Yes, it is now part of your story, but it is not who you are. You're more than just a divorced person, right? I don't think it's fair that we use our marital status in society as an identifier. Like, when you go to apply for a job, or you're applying for credit or whatever, they ask, what is your marital status? Married, divorced, single, widowed. And they want you to check one of those boxes so that they can identify you. And that, to me, is not a fair identifier. Being married is not greater or better than being divorced. It's just different. I'm not a better person because I'm married. I'm not a better person because I'm divorced. We're just different. And sometimes that identifier, if we carry it, if we wear it, I know initially I did. I wore that identifier as a divorced person, almost like a label. And initially, I was very embarrassed. I was very ashamed of going through and being divorced. I remember going to an event. It was an outdoor festival, and it was one of the first things that I went to by myself. I was fairly early on in the separation divorce process. And I wanted to just start doing things on my own because I knew that that was going to become a way of life for me. So I went to this event. It was a beautiful outdoor event. It was in the summer. And, I got all dressed up, looking real cute. And I was feeling really good about myself. So I get there and you're meeting different people, just hello. And they're big tables out. So it's almost like you're becoming part of a community with people, just sitting with people you don't know. And I was sitting next to this young lady, and we were just chatting it up. How you doing? Where you from? Blah, blah, blah. And she asked if I was married. And the shame of what I was going through was so heavy at that time that I stuttered, hesitated, and she just kind of looked at me, and I whispered, because I was so embarrassed and ashamed, I said, I'm going through a divorce right now. And she was like, oh, she was very sympathetic. She said, and I'll never forget, she said, honey, I've been through divorce too. And you know what? You're going to be just fine. And her saying that to me, it kind of shifted my way of thought, the way that I was currently thinking about being divorced. It really did help kind of lighten the load and made me feel like, okay, this divorce is not the end of my life. I'm going to go on after this and I'm going to be okay. It was a ray of light in that moment that I needed to just say, you're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. Like I said, I definitely was embarrassed and I was ashamed of going through divorce and being divorced. I've been married for 20 years. And for me, my marriage was, I would like to use my marriage as an example of what others should shoot for as relationship goals before it was popular hashtag, right? And I was very proud of that, almost proud to a point of prideful, to a point of better than, and that's no good. That's no good. Again, you should be proud of your marriage. You should be happy with your mate. You're working together as a team. You're doing things. You're not perfect, but you're happy. You have a family together, whatever it may be. But I think many times I would take it a step further and make it look like as if you want to be like me, then you need to do what I'm doing. But then here I am divorcing. And I was quite embarrassed. And I was feeling very, just very ashamed. And the process of divorce humbled me very much. It reminded me that people are not perfect. we all make mistakes in any facet of life, and that putting our complete faith and our complete trust in what we think is perfect maybe is not the best way to live your life. I'm not saying we shouldn't trust people. I'm not saying we shouldn't rely on people. But at the end of the day, they're people. And we all have flaws. We're all scarred in some kind of way. And when we are disappointed by people, it's very hurtful. And that's how I felt. And I was ashamed to, like I said, even say the word divorced. Confronting and having to talk to people. Not that I had to share what was going on, but if you know me, then you know I'm married, and now I'm not married. You know, people are starting to ask questions. Where is he at? Da, 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 and all of those things. And again, you're very selective about what you share. You don't get into details, but the reality is you're no longer married to that person. And that's a truth that you really have to begin to say. I really did try to hide for a while, but I live in a small area and you can't hide. You can't hide for so long, right? So I really had to begin to work through those feelings of shame and embarrassment. And as I dug deep into time with my therapist, going to divorce care, time with people that love and support me, and ultimately the time that I spent one-on-one in quiet, in the stillness of being with God, are the things that brought me out of that embarrassing, shameful place to a place of, I'm going to have a good life after this because I'm choosing to do the work now so that I can have a better life later. And once I determined that, there was no stopping me. Now, don't get me wrong. Once I determined that and there was no stopping me, that doesn't mean that I didn't have bad days. I would still have days where I just wanted to cry. I would still have days where I was asking all the why questions. I was still having days where I felt alone. And that's natural. That's normal. But overall, I had determined that if I do my work, if I keep showing up for myself, that divorce was not going to take me out, but it was going to bring me up. And the lessons that I would learn will be beneficial to my life going forward. Yes? Okay. So I think that many people, and I've talked to people who say they too have felt those feelings of just kind of shame and embarrassment. And I share that with them, that not to let divorce identify them, because it's not who you are. It's just who you go through, what you go through. So I am going to just leave you with some takeaways for this week, and hopefully something that you can use as you're moving through. And I know people are at different places and stages in the separation divorce journey. You may be newly separated. You may have just finalized your divorce, or maybe you've been divorced for many years and you're still feeling kind of stuck. Like, why do I still feel like I did the day that I signed my divorce papers? And I believe that you partnering with me here, whatever stage that you're in, it can be better. That you can ultimately get to that place, and I've said it before, of just wholeness, wellness, peace, and joy. Because that's where we all want to be. Like, that is the place where you want to live your life, and you can live your best life there. But if you carry on or take on the identifier of a divorced person, I don't think that you can successfully move to being a happy single person if you don't take off that label or identifier as divorced person. Because divorce is not the end, y'all. It is not the end. Like I said earlier, it really can be a beautiful start. It's hurtful. Nobody wants to go through it. It does more than just hurt your pride. It hurts your like your entire life. You're having to move and relocate and just all the things that go along with that. And it's not an easy thing, but you can still have a great life on the other side of divorce. So stop viewing yourself through the lens of divorce, which often leads to this negative self-talk, but begin to change that negative narrative into positive pearls of wisdom. Because if you keep running that negative narrative, you're going to start believing it. And then you're going to start living it. And then your attitude and your words will only reflect this negative self-talk. And it has to stop. So if you don't feel well about yourself and you're not speaking well of yourself, it's really hard to make those steps and to move through this journey so that you can get to that place of just being better. Release and let go of the shame and embarrassment. In many cases, those feelings are like auto-generated, right? Not from other people, but they're coming from you. You're making yourself feel that way. No one is shaming you or embarrassing you. Not saying that that can't happen, because it totally can. But most of that is coming from within. It's auto-generated. And like the negative self-talk, it's just kind of over and over again. And we have to put a stop to that so that we can get to a better place. So I think that's our time for this week. I hope you were able to take away something from this, something that you can apply in your journey, because that's the only reason why I'm here. You know, and many of the things that I'm saying aren't brand new. They aren't some revelation that you have never heard before. But I think when you can sit one-on-one with someone, even through YouTube, you can maybe receive things that you may have heard before, but this time the impact is different. So guys, I thank you so much for joining me. I love doing these sessions. Caffeine Conversation has become my little baby, and I'm so grateful that God is using me in this way. I don't take it lightly. I take this very seriously, and I just want to be a help, because I know part of my mission in life, part of my assignment is to help someone else move through what I've already been through. I believe our life experiences are meant to be shared. If you hold on to these things simply for yourself, I feel like it's selfish, and I don't like to see people hurting. And if I can help, then that's what I'm going to do. So I would love if you would give me a thumbs up, if you would subscribe, if you would share, if you would comment, and don't forget to hit that little bell so you will know when I upload new content. So until our next session, be well, because the goal is always to be well. Later.